Sir, what about free universal kindergarten?
But if you could provide for that, I'm not gonna object. But that's why I was saying that the most ambitious I can go is not because I surprised there. I mean, yeah, because the
That's why I turned red.
well, sorry, oh, sorry, boom.
Anyway.
Can I boom?
Okay. Okay, pare.
Studying is not everything to make a well-rounded young individual. You need extracurricular activities like Miguel and I. We were members of the Filipino Drama Guild. Not that we did anything, but and we are members of the Camera Club. Second year tayo. It's not so much a question of law, but a question already of circumstances. Huwag na lang, may controversy sa factors. Self-generation. That's what you're talking about. For example, I give you an examination. You're 40 students. There's no proctor and no teacher. How many of you will cheat? Or a kid, 10 kids, you're on a line. You play some candy and tell them, don't come here. This is bad for your team. How do you feel? Or sports consciousness, except probably for competitive sports. Lacking, no? We would like to have, ideally, healthy people, like people with the biceps of Paulo Romero. My sports now, watching golf.
Si Doc Willie ba?
Dr. Willie.
That's one way. I was not able to drink my... Oh, hindi kayo sure.
Kasi muna si GIBO habang...
160 over 100, 150 over 100. Kukontest kami ni Robin. Robin ang salali akala.
130, 100. Hindi ko na inom na.
130 over 100.
Pag ininom ko, 120. Sa lahat naman ng araw, ngayon ko pa hindi na eh.
Wala ka bang ano? Vitamin ano?
Hindi, kasi may urinalysis ako mamaya.
Our nation section editor and associate editor would ask questions on national security.
Yun pa yung daily medical. Tapos doon naman ako ulit, mamaya-maya.
Oh, take your blood
Take
again
two.
at the end of the test.
Take two. Oh, yeah.
125.
Hindi, yung gamot.
Okay.
Hard question. Now the question. The real question.
O, tinan mo, nag-69 na kagad.
oxygen niya, 99. Sabihin maganda yung lungs.
Not smoker.
Non-smoker.
Anymore.
Yes.
Anymore.
Number one, it's make yourself an investment destination. Number one is reduce the costs of doing business. Number two, rather. Number three, improve your communications and transportation facilities. That's long-term infrastructure. There's I think I read a study that one of the biggest problems of Philippine competitiveness is lack of a long-term horizon. You need to say we don't have a long-term infrastructure program, policies change every 6 years. That's the biggest challenge. I think also, number four, you have to have a high-quality workforce, so education comes in also, that's another topic. Ease the tax rates. Now, probably we'll also have to review naman the tax incentives. For those that have already been given tax incentives by way of the DOI or others, you have to respect that. You cannot overturn it. But for new ones, you can let them just avail of probably potential easier income, corporate income tax regime and allow the current incentive holders to opt in na lang. Do you want the lower tax regime or do you want an old one while remaining with your incentives? Tourism is a function also of our capacity. I learned that when Thailand had a problem 2 years ago, close to Christmas, a lot of tourists wanted to book here because of the political problems in Thailand, but we couldn't accommodate them anymore because we lack capacity. Ports of entry are a problem. Our airport, it's obvious, no? We have to do something about that airport. I think we have to have 2 airports, this one and Clark. The problem of this one is not the terminal, it's the lack of a second runway. You're ground bound for sometimes for 45 minutes before you can take off because there's only a single runway, for international purposes. Secondly, we have to also cater to cruise lines and cruise ships. Imagine tourists docking in the Port of Manila. Infrastructure priorities is easing communications between and amongst growth regions. For example, Cordillera, you'll have to make an all-weather road to that place, not only for the economy but for disaster risk reduction purposes. Dalton Pass, for example, it's been how many years that we've had that problem? Every time that there's a landslide, the whole region 2 is cut off. You'll have to have more airports and more seaports because several times an airport is the only way to service a community. And now the Philippines is unique. Philippines is unique. Conditions in the different regions and islands are unique. So I think the ticklish issue in the Philippines is the lack of institutional capability to develop investor confidence. Why? Because of the political system. Given the reality that it's difficult to change your political system, you might as well work within the system to try to get some sort of a political accord or a concord between and amongst political parties. Hey, let's try to work together on a long-term roadmap. Let's fight within that. But once we get that roadmap, it should apply to whoever comes into power after 6 years. If not, people will suffer. Cannot be done overnight, or else you will have a fragile peace and not a sustainable one. I don't have, the problem with Mindanao is not a Mindanao problem, it's a local specific problem. The problem sometimes in one barangay is not the same as another barangay because of the uniqueness of the situation. There's been migration, there are different ethnic groups. The problem of Sulu, for example, is not the same as in central Mindanao. There's a different complexion. This is probably what has to be done. The people there who live there through their local peace and order councils, through their local governments in the future in conflict-affected areas, must come up with their solutions to their own problems. Communist rebels, they can rebel in their mind, they can rebel in their speech, they can rebel in their protest actions, but not with a gun. I think there's no reason anymore for a communist rebellion because Republic Act 1700 has already been repealed. You can advocate in the street that you're a communist. It's fine. It's within the law. And I've always had the challenge, which probably Jimmy would verify, is that I keep on telling the armed forces, we are not fighting an ideological war anymore.